Whoa, what? That's a twist. Hello fellow anime geeks and welcome to another video on my mission to try every anime series that I can. I got my usual 4 questions ready and today I'm reviewing Vanitas no Carte, or Anfuni, the case study of Vanitas, which is the English title but not really a translation of the Japanese and French, more on that later. Mal is genres, themes, and even source manga demographics separately now, which is nice and clear. So we got a supernatural genre with historical and vampire themes, and it's based on a shonen manga. And all of that's pretty much right. I would say this is supernatural and it is about vampires. It kind of reminds me of D.Gray-man in that it's this kind of actiony, dark, supernatural, thrilling mystery shonen with a historical flair, and it revolves around an evil organization that's going around wreaking havoc on people's souls. It's got that same early 2000s kind of emo tone as well, but combined with very shonen character personalities and humor, and it somehow just works. This is the newest anime adaptation of the author from Pandora Hearts, and you can tell, why are her stories always so dark? Much like the Interview with a Vampire, this is told from the perspective of a vampire regretfully looking back at his unforgettable encounters. And much like Interview with a Vampire, this whole story revolves around a specific friendship. Noe and Vanitas share an almost kind of Watson-Sherlock kind of friendship where, yes, there is admiration, but there's also annoyance and frustration because Vanitas is willfully selfish and brash, while Noe is more traditionally noble. Noe kind of ends up getting roped into Vanitas' investigation into cursed vampires, and he ends up finding out a lot more about all of these layers of societies in this underground world, which has its own origin myth for vampires, by the way, because this, like Joran, is kind of super punk. It's set in a late Victorian / Edwardian kind of alternate timeline, kind of like steampunk, but all of the technology is based on a fictional substance called the astromite, which is closely linked to the supernatural lore and existence of vampires in this world. Now, though I may not necessarily buy into all of the supernatural magic system for this world, I am very impressed that it has its own foundation, kind of like origin story that splits it from our own timeline. We're able to completely reimagine our own legends and mythos and recombine them in an interesting and kind of unique way. Here, for example, the vampire's thirst for blood is a side effect of a curse, and while we do arrive at a lot of the same common vampire characteristics like venom and hypnotic qualities, red eye color, and twisted kind of perverted relationships, it all makes sense in this world. Here, vampires, for example, can go out in the sun without sparkling even. But this creative reimagining has so many layers in names and allusions and imagery, from the time period and setting chosen, which mirrors our own popularization of the vampire myth, to the names, the Roland, Noé, Jean, Charlatan, which actually has slightly different connotations in the different Romance languages, but in French has a tie to medicine, which is in perfect contrast to our protagonist, who's a self-proclaimed doctor. The title of the show has some very interesting ambiguity too. I mean, carte can mean card or map, so is Vanitas going to play a secret card? Is the Japanese no acting as Vanitas of the card, or as the French possessive pronoun de, as in carte de Vanitas, as in the map of Vanitas, in reference to the book, which acts almost like a map of sorts to this other parallel plane that holds all of the secret formulas and true names of everything in the visible world around us. And that's another layer of referencing and allusions and the importance of names in this show. Knowing and corrupting the true name of a person is the foundation of the magic system in this story, which is a lot like Earthsea, and actually a magic system that I think is really cool. I think this is actually pretty worthwhile if you like dark, kind of mysterious, supernatural shonen, and I'm also just really partial to this author. I was a little bit thrown off by some of the pervy moments, but I guess that also is kind of part of the vampire lore, the scary kind of vampire lore, you know, the non-prismatic kind of vampire. This didn't really feel fanservice-y like Noblesse's anime adaptation, and I thought that the quick plot and action was really good. Fair warning though, this doesn't end in a very satisfying point. Part 2 is already scheduled for winter 2022, but I'm also just a little bit scared that this is gonna end up like Pandora Hearts, which also had a 2-core season. This isn't your typical action shonen where we're building up a formidable evil, but we also have faith that our protagonist is going to rise to defeat it. There's no convenient training arcs or school terms where we can just kind of like section off nice little cookie cutter seasons. These are fully formed adults, and they're just unaware of the depth of the evil that's around them. So we're kind of just stuck with the anxiety of the possible implications and outcomes. And on that note, I'll catch you in the next video. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh no. What?